If you're like me, you probably think that fierce loyalty is something to be proud of. I always did. But in reality, it could be putting your life in danger. In this video, we're going to look at that and 6 other intimate partner homicide risk factors. Risk factor number 1 is that you're a woman. If you're a woman, which is what this channel is geared towards, you are disproportionately more likely to become an intimate partner homicide victim. According to the National Intimate Partner Homicide and Sexual Violence Survey, the women that are most at risk for intimate partner violence are between the ages of 18 and 24. But I have seen intimate partner homicides happen at all ages, teenager through elderly, which we're going to look at in some later videos. In fact, in the United States, more than 3 women a day are killed on average by an intimate partner or an ex, or somebody who wishes that they were an intimate partner. And that would be much bigger if we looked at it on a global scale, where women die even more frequently in gender-based violence. Statistics say that the second biggest risk factor is that you have recently ended a romantic relationship with somebody that doesn't want to let you go. I would expand that to also include if you are in the process of trying to get to a point where you can let them go. Because if they're the type of person that doesn't want to let you go, they're going to start noticing you trying to take back some of your control. When you're taking your control back from them, this lack of control that they have freaks them out. And it will freak them out potentially to the point where they're like trying so hard to get that control back that they can become very violent and deadly. Risk factor number 3, custody disputes. When children in custody are involved, emotions run high. Disputes over custody can lead to some unimaginable outcomes.
You came in like thieves in the night and took 8 lives, some being children, in the most horrific way I've ever seen in my 20-plus years. We are getting closer. We will find you.
In fact, often, when you see these murders of entire families, the woman was going to leave. Very often when I'm looking at it, she was going to file for divorce or she had filed for divorce. They were talking about it. The calling card for intimate partner homicide is, if I can't have you, no one will. And so in those cases, he's just taking that and applying it to the entire family. He's saying, as opposed to you divorcing me and me only seeing my kids every other weekend or whatever the arrangement is, I refuse to lose you and to lose my kids. In that way, if I can't have you, nobody can. I'm just going to kill you all.
Hours before police say Michael Haight shot and killed his mother-in-law, Gail Earl, his wife, Tasha.
Do you need my help? You 3 go in together.
And all 5 of their children.
Yeah.
Other times, they kill the kids and leave the moms so that the moms suffer.
911 calls.
He's still outside screaming and he's shooting. I heard the shots.
You said that there's
I don't know what's happening.
Raw emotion and tempers flaring. Tension was in the air as families, neighbors, and law enforcement waited out a lengthy standoff situation at the Lake of the Woods apartments in Mount Healthy.
We're told this started as an argument during a custody exchange.
When negotiations failed, officers eventually made their way in, finding Eric and Isla dead. Johnson was a convicted felon and was not supposed to have a firearm.
It's also being reported that he was sending pictures to the child's mother while he was barricaded inside.
I was always afraid of my kids being killed. And a lot of the women that I have talked to share that same fear. When custody disputes are involved, please be on high alert. You are in danger. Your kids are in danger. Definitely want to have a safety plan in place. And definitely part of your safety plan needs to include how to do custody exchanges safely, all of that stuff. Risk factor 4, we're to the loyalty piece. Loyalty in itself is good. It's something I would teach my kids. It's something that I believe is important in myself and in a partner and in friends. Loyalty is a good thing. Extreme loyalty, however, not so much. In fact, it is a super common thing when you have dealt with abuse to have what is called trauma bonds. Have you ever heard of that? Trauma bonding happens when there is intense emotional up and down within a relationship, and this person that causes a lot of these issues in your life also happens to be the person that makes it all better. It becomes almost an addiction to this person and to these experiences of high and low. The amount of loyalty that can produce is dangerous. It creates this loyalty within us that is so strong, but at the same time, kind of kills our ability to identify healthy and safe boundaries anymore. Think of a gambling addiction. Somebody goes in there and they put money in the slot machine and put money in the slot machine and put money in the slot machine, and they might lose over and over again, but the people who make those slot machines know how to calibrate it so that they win sometimes. They win enough that it will keep them coming back. And abusers do that too. The same thing. They may treat you like crap or be abusive or be controlling so many times, but then they'll do something really great because they know that if they keep acting like a jerk to you, you're going to leave. But if they do jerk, oh, really great, loving wonderfulness, you're like, this is that person that I fell in love with. I miss you. You're still in there. We're good. And they're like, yeah, we're good. And then it'll slowly go back to the way that it was, or sometimes quickly go back to the way that it was. So if you have a good, healthy amount of loyalty, wonderful. If you have the amount of loyalty where you won't walk away when it's unhealthy for you. Risk factor number 5, spiritual beliefs. Studies point to the fact that religious beliefs can shape our views on marriage, divorce, and gender roles, and they talk about how those beliefs can create extra hurdles for victims. Being a Christian myself, I know very intimately that this can be a risk factor for intimate partner violence in general. Within Christianity, for example, forgiveness is a huge element that keeps women stuck in abusive relationships. It is also one that abusers like to throw in our faces to manipulate us into staying. Forgiveness and valuing marriage and valuing family are wonderful and important concepts. Incomplete teachings of them can make them a trap for women sometimes instead of a blessing. This is definitely a risk factor. Whether you're a Christian or you have different belief systems and religious belief systems specifically definitely impact your viewpoint on gender roles and gender identity and forgiveness and truth, and all of these things, they matter. Risk factor 6 is multifaceted. We're going to call it history of abuse. That could be their history of abuse. If they grew up either being abused as a child or witnessing domestic violence as a child, that puts them at a higher chance that they're going to be an abuser when they get older, or be abused when they get older. Those are the two things. If you witnessed abuse or experienced abuse as you were growing up, or have previous domestic violence experience yourself as an adult, all of those things put you at higher risk of being a victim. If you've experienced abuse, whether as a child or as an adult, it is going to lower your bar for what you think that you deserve and what you're willing to tolerate within a relationship. That puts you at higher risk. And then as a third element to this point, if you are being abused now in your relationship, that also puts you at a higher risk of intimate partner homicide. And last but not least, risk factor number 7 would be immigration status. Language barriers, fear of deportation, and limited access to resources all put women who are immigrants in the United States in a particularly vulnerable place. Language barriers can hinder their ability to seek help, to access support services, or even to communicate effectively with law enforcement and healthcare providers. Lacking the ability to speak English can also cause more victims to be isolated in their lives and prevent them from understanding their rights even. Perpetrators of intimate partner violence often use a victim's immigration status as a tool for manipulation and control. Fear of losing legal status or being separated from their families can trap victims in dangerous situations. Likewise, immigrant victims may rely on their abusive partners for legal residency, financial support, or sponsorship. Limited access to employment opportunities or financial resources due to immigration restrictions can leave them financially vulnerable also. So they're afraid to leave, much like American women, because they're afraid that they're not going to be able to financially support themselves and their children if they do leave. If those things weren't enough, then you also have cultural norms and stuff from the culture that they came from. Sometimes there is social stigma within immigrant communities which discourage victims from speaking out about intimate partner violence or seeking assistance. Fear of judgment, shame, and even being ostracized from their family, from their loved ones, can prevent them from saying something and reaching out for help. All right, ladies. We have shared some important and difficult stuff today, but to be fair, most of the things that are on my channel are difficult stuff, right? So
hopefully
you kind of come maybe with a comfy blanket, maybe with some warm, comforting drink, but you come kind of knowing this is rough, but important stuff. And it's important to know the intimate partner homicide red flags. I talk about those frequently, and I actually created a quiz, which I can link to in the comment section below, kind of let you know where you stand as far as intimate partner homicide red flags. Those would be risk factors of his. This video is risk factors of yours. If this video struck a chord with you, please don't keep it to yourself. I would love it if you would share it with family, friends, coworkers, anybody that you know that you think needs to hear it. Until I see you again, I hope you stay safe.